Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this session of Vertica Unify 2021. Our next breakout session is entitled Management Console Enhanced Provisioning and Alerts. I'm Paige Roberts, Open Source Relations Manager at Vertica. I'll be your host for this webinar. Joining me from Vertica are Vishal Daman, Senior Product Manager, and Joe Walsh, Software Development Manager. But before we begin, I encourage you to submit questions during the virtual session. You don't have to wait till the end. Just enter your question into the Q&A box on the right-hand side of the screen as it occurs to you. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. We'll answer as many questions as possible during that time, and any questions that we don't address, we'll do our best to answer offline. Alternatively, you can visit the Developer Lounge, where you can ask additional questions, continue the conversation, talk to our engineers and product experts after the session. And yes, before you ask, this virtual session is being recorded, and it will be available to view on demand this week. We'll send you a notification as soon as it's ready. Now, be sure to stick around to the very end of the presentation for the code you use to participate and gain points in our Analyze to Win competition to win prizes. Now, let's get started. Over to you, Vishal.
Thank you, Paige. My name is Vishal Devan. I'm a Senior Product Manager at Vertica. Today, I'll be talking to you about the Vision for Management Console, some key updates to Vertica Management Console we have made recently. We have also introduced a new feature for quick setup, and then Joe will be talking to you about alerts, especially the redesigned user experience, and custom alert feature we plan to release in next release, and some use cases for custom alerts, and some tips. So let's begin. Before I begin, I want to tell everybody about the Vision for Management Console. At Vertica, we have organized the Vision for Management Console in 4 key pillars. We want to make the Management Console more turnkey, intuitive, automated, and personalized. And work has started in almost all of these 4 pillar areas. Everything you see in green here is areas we've already started work towards. Everything in blue is areas where we want to work towards. To make the MC more turnkey, first of all, we would like to add more quick launch templates. And a quick setup is a way to achieve that. Then we also want to make MC more customizable, and custom alert feature is one step towards that. And then we have an overarching goal to make Management Console and reduce the number of clicks on it. To make the MC more intuitive, we have introduced a standard style guide. Now you will notice that this standard style guide will be used in MC and other Vertica products too. We also want to consolidate many screens of MC into one screen so that more information is available to you at your fingertips. And also we would like to simplify the workflows. To make the Management Console more automated, we want to redo the alerts feature, and Joe will be talking to you about the alerts. We intend to improve the DBD Lite feature, and we'd like to, over time, improve the monitoring metrics feature. To make the Management Console more personalized, we want the users to be able to create their own templates, especially for wizards such as creating a new database. Those features will be released in future versions. Long term, we'd like to add customizable widgets where users can bring various kinds of information and customize it and bring that in a single screen. Long term, we'd also like to add more access control, especially Vertica database user management. So let me tell you guys about the key recent updates we have made to Vertica Management Console. With Vertica Eon Mode, we introduced the feature for creating subclusters. Users use subclusters to isolate their workload. Now, since each workload is different, so should each subclusters be. Now you can use Vertica Management Console to create subclusters of different instance types and different instance size. Not only can you control the size and the type, with each different instance type, users can configure their own depot, catalog, and temp. And please keep in mind that queries that run from depot are on average 3 times faster. Now, your mileage can actually be faster than that, but 3 is an average case scenario we have seen. At Vertica, we take security very seriously. And to enhance the security, we have actually made some progress. First of all, we've updated the password rules and encryption and made the password rules more stricter. Secondly, you now no longer have to hunt down for a Vertica DBA in case you forget your password. That is, you're making self-password reset a reality. This is achieved through one-time security questions. When the first time the user logs in, they'll be presented with a bunch of security questions, and they set it up all the answers for that. And then in future, if this user forgets their password, some security questions are presented to them, and if they are able to answer those questions correctly, they are able to reset their password. I hope you like this feature. We welcome feedback at Vertica, and I really like hearing from all the users of Vertica Management Console. So to do that and get feedback more easily, we've added a feedback button on the bottom right of every Management Console screen. When you click that button, a pop-in will appear where you will be able to rate that page and type in any feedback. And please know that we will be reading any feedback you send to us. So send us anything good or bad, we are all ears. We have also redesigned the Create New Database wizards. This new redesign has a new UI look and feel, and you will notice a nice clean interface. All the input fields are very spaced apart. There are information help text on the right side, which are enabled when you click on the eye icon. And not only there is only one way to set up a new database, we're actually introducing two different paths to create a new database: advanced setup and quick setup. Advanced setup is a very familiar way to create a new database. However, quick setup is new, and I'll be talking to you about that a few slides down. We've also added support for creating Vertica database in Azure Cloud. And you will notice this is using the new UI and advanced setup mode. With that, now you will be able to use Vertica Management Console in any of your favorite clouds, be it AWS, Google Cloud Platform, or Microsoft Azure. So let me talk to you about Quick Setup next. With Quick Setup, our goal was to have a single page design where users can quickly choose their favorite configuration and create a Vertica database in a jiffy. So we introduced some pre-made but known good Vertica cluster configurations, and users can make their selections very quickly, hit the Create Database button, and lo and behold, in a few minutes, your database will be up and ready to go. This feature is currently available on AWS, but very soon we will be launching this in other cloud. Let me get into details of Quick Setup next. To use Quick Setup, first choice a user is presented is the choice for depot storage. As I mentioned to you earlier, choosing the depot storage type is very important because queries that run from depot are 3 times faster on average. So the two choices here are for ephemeral depot, which uses nodes which have directly attached NVMe SSD storage. And the second category is for EBS depot. So all the instance types which support ephemeral depot are listed in the ephemeral depot column, and all the EC2 instance types which support EBS volumes are categorized in the EBS depot column. Next, the user can choose their cluster size. We have 4 choices here: small, medium, large, and extra large. As you can see, small in the last row means 3 nodes, medium means 6 nodes, large means 12 nodes. Besides the number of nodes, we automatically pre-select the relevant number of shards, and the system automatically computes the compressed working data size. Compressed working data size also means the same size as depot. In this example, you can see on my screen, the user has chosen i3 4x large and a medium-sized cluster, which is 6 nodes. This automatically computes to 7 terabytes of compressed working data size, so you have a 7 terabyte depot. Next, the user can configure their database parameters, such as choosing the Vertica database name, choosing the administrator username, give it a password, and if the user wants to, they can load the sample data, which is the VMART database. Next, the user can configure their AWS environment, such as AWS KeyPair, setting up IP access rules, and choose their S3 communal storage. This S3 communal storage is where your Vertica database files will live. And lastly, if they desire, the user can tag the EC2 instances with key value pairs. So that's Quick Setup. It really will appeal to users who just want a Vertica database and get going very quickly. I hope you really enjoy this feature and use this. And if you have any feedback about that, please use that feedback button to send us feedback. Going forward, Joe will be talking to you about more details about alerts feature. So over to you, Joe.
Thank you, Vishal. Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Walsh, and I'm the manager of the MC team. Today, I'll be talking about a couple of features that we have introduced into the MC. The first is the redesign of the Thresholds Alerts page. The second is the addition of custom alerts. Let's examine these features more closely. Here is the new Thresholds Alerts page. We have added a new and improved user experience by modernizing the look and feel. If you notice, there's no Apply and Done button. Once you change the configuration, the information is automatically saved. So let's look at some of the attributes for an alert. So clicking on the interval, you'll see that you'll get a number of choices. Once selecting a choice, it will automatically be saved for that alert. The next is alert priority. Now, alert priority has changed since the previous version. In the previous version of the MC, it used to be priority 1, 2, and 3. We have renamed them so that they're more understandable. We use critical, alert, and warning. To change an alert priority, you select the priority, and you can pick which alert priority you'd like. Once you hit carriage return, it will automatically save that priority for that particular alert. We've also added email recipients. Now, in the previous release of the Management Console, email recipients were only tied to priority 1. In this new release, we have separated the priority and the email recipients. You can now choose email recipients for any alert. Here, we've shown you which email recipients are associated with a particular alert by showing some emojis. When hovering over an emoji, you'll see their email. If you want to manage your emails, you can click on the blue emoji. Here, we've redesigned the dialog box. Within the dialog box, you'll see all the MC users and their email addresses. You can pick and choose which emails you'd like to add to receive the alert if it's triggered. You can also add additional email addresses if there is none listed above. There's also email intervals. The interval is when the email will actually get executed when an alert is triggered. There is immediate email interval, which will send an email when the alert is triggered. There's hourly, which is will send the email every hour. And then there's daily, which will be once a day. Resource pools. So custom resource pools needed a refresh. We wanted to be more consistent with regards to the custom alerts. So we've added a new look and feel to the creating of a custom resource pool. We have a new dialog where you can pick the alert names. There are currently 6 canned alerts that you can choose from for the resource pools. You can pick the resource pool name you want the alert to be attributed to. You can pick values for that. You can then pick time intervals, and then, of course, the priority. And then you create the alert, which will generate the alert in your custom resource pool. Here, it'll automatically be enabled, and then you can modify or change the values associated. You can change the check interval, you can change the priority, and you can add additional email recipients. Now let's dig into custom alerts. Custom alerts is a new feature that we've added. Currently, the MC has 18 pre-built alerts. There have been many customers that had their own queries and they were interested in creating their own alert based on their query, but there was no way to do that. So we built custom alerts for them. Let's dig into 2 use cases, failed logins and idle Vertica user sessions. So failed logins. As a DBA, I would like to track the number of failed logins per user. This could be a signal for DDoS attack or an application behaving inappropriately. We have a sample query here that I'd like to create a custom alert against. So let's walk you through how to create a custom alert. Within the MC, you go to the Thresholds Alert page and you select the plus sign for the custom alerts. This will bring up a form for you to fill out. In the first area, you'll want to select a title. You can have up to 50 characters, so you'll have plenty of characters to create a descriptive alert name. Next, you'll want to either enter or paste your query. In the SQL query on the right-hand side, there are two icons. One to format the query to make it look pretty, and the second query is to enlarge the text field area so you can see more information. As you can see in this screenshot, we have formatted the query. As you can tell, you can see the format is really nice. We've also added variables. So variable is a dynamic value that's evaluated at runtime. The variables need to be surrounded by curly brackets. In our example here, we've created a variable called time interval. Now, time interval in this case will be a character or a string. If it's a character or string, you'll need to surround the curly brackets by single quotes. Below that is the variable area. Here you'll be able to add the default values for the variable. You can add the variable value by selecting the variable itself and then entering in the value. In this instance, we've entered 2 hours. Now the variable will be used during validation of the query, and when the alert is created, it'll be used as the default value in the alert. So let's run the query to validate it. So let's walk through a few query validation checks. The first one is row limit size. Currently, we have a row limit size of 100. It's just a warning. Currently, we have 100 rows was done to limit the space required when saving the alert message. This is just a warning, and if this gets triggered, the MC will only use the first 100 rows. Another query validation check is if you have a syntax error in your query itself. In this example, I added an invalid column in the select statement. As you can see, in the message area, there's an error telling you exactly what the issue is. Another query validation is if you forget to enter in a value for your variable. In this case, there is no value for time interval. So when the query ran, there was no value to run, thus causing the query to have an issue during execution. And this is shown in the message area. Another query validation check is a limit of 5 columns. Currently, the MC will only save up to 5 columns for the alert. This is done to limit the space required when saving the alert message. So please, when you create your query, make sure that the result set has 5 columns or less. And finally, we have a successful run where it'll show you the returned rows, the execution time of your query. And below that, you'll have your query results. On the right-hand side of the query results, you'll see a left and right arrow. When selecting the left and right arrow, it will auto resize the columns to fit the data. So now let's actually go and create the alert by hitting the Create Alert button. When creating the alert button, you can see it in the Thresholds alert page on the MC. Here, you can see the title, the variable names, the default values, and you'll be able to change the check interval, the alert priority, and add additional emails. We've also added a tooltip when hovering over the title to show you the exact query that will be executed. This is useful if the title is not as descriptive as it should be. When the alert gets triggered, the message will be shown in the message center. In the message center, it will show you the summary name of the alert. It will show you the occurrence, and it will show you a table with your result sets that were generated. Now, please remember that alerts are only generated if the query result set is greater than or equal to 1 row. This information will also be shown in your email if you have email set up properly. Over to the right of a custom alerts, you'll see 3 dots. When selecting on the 3 dots, you'll be able to delete that custom alert. In future releases of the Management Console, we'll be adding modify, so you can modify the alert. Let's walk through use case 2, idle Vertica user sessions. As a DBA, I would like to track the number of idle Vertica user sessions to help determine unused sessions. So here's a sample query I'd like to create a custom alert on. As we already walked through the first one, this creating additional custom alerts should be fairly straightforward now. So let's go do that. Let's go to the Management Console Thresholds Wizard Threshold Alert page. Let's select the plus sign. Here we'll enter in a descriptive title. We'll cut and paste our query. We'll make sure we add any variables that we want, and remember to surround the variables that are strings with single quotes. Next, we will make sure that in the variable section that we add a value, a default value, and then we'll run the query. If successful, we'll see the query result, and we'll be able to create the alert. Here we can see the new alert added to the alerts threshold page of the Management Console. It's already enabled. You can go and modify the variable value if you'd like, change the interval, change the alert priority, and add email recipients. Tips and other custom alert ideas. So alerts are only generated if the query result set has greater than or equal to 1 row and are limited to 100 rows and 5 columns. A maximum of 5 user-defined variables are allowed in your query. The title of the alert name can be no more than 50 characters. If the SQL used by the custom alert generates errors in the future, the MC will automatically disable the alert. So for example, I create a table named foo, and I created a custom alert that would utilize table foo. There may be some alerts that may be generated, which is fine. And in three months or so, the DB admin drops table foo, but forgets to disable or delete the alert, the custom alert that would utilize that table. When the MC goes to run the custom alert against table foo, there will be an error because table foo does not exist. So the MC will automatically disable that alert. The MC will also create an alert saying that it has disabled that particular alert. And finally, in future releases, we'll be adding modification, having a user being able to modify their custom alerts. And here's another quick example of too many users on one node. So having a number of users connected to one node in the last X hours. You can use this query if you'd like. It's very helpful. Next, Vishal will be talking about the Management Console roadmap. Back to you, Vishal.
Thank you, Joe. Let me tell everybody about the vision and the roadmap for Management Console. First of all, we would like to add more features around Azure support. We would like to add the ability for users to use Management Console to revive your Vertica database cluster in Azure. Next, we'd love to add more features around subcluster management, such as the ability to create a new subcluster, scale your subcluster up or down, and remove a subcluster. Lastly, as I mentioned about this earlier, we would like to add the ability for users to use quick setup in Azure also. The next feature we would like to add is the next feature we would like to add to Management Console roadmap would be to introduce a third setup path for creating a new database cluster. This third setup path is called guided setup, and guided setup will appeal to users where users can answer questions around the database size or their sample workload, and the system can recommend a suitable Vertica configuration. We will also like to add features around scheduling and saving database cluster creation. Users can use scheduled database cluster creation so that they can schedule their database creation at a later date. And secondly, users will be able to save their favorite database cluster creation template for easy recall. And we'd like to extend this scheduling feature past database cluster creation. In fact, we'd like to extend it for scaling, so you'd be able to schedule your scaling operations at a future date. And lastly, we would like to add support for scheduling, backup, and restore using Management Console. We would like to introduce new features around enhancing your workload analyzer. The new workload analyzer will have lots of performance improvements. The underlying SQL has been updated, so it runs much faster. It has some new important suggestions. And lastly, it lets the user pick and choose the most relevant suggestions for the user. We would also like the ability for Management Console to allow the users to set up the backup and restore from MC. And we know that users would like to manage their Vertica database users and grant privileges from MC. So we would like to add this feature in upcoming releases where you'd be able to create a Vertica database user and grant privileges to that user. That concludes our talk today. Over to you, Paige.
Thanks, Vishal. If you want to learn more after this conference is over, remember that our Vertica Academy is always available for free on-demand training and Vertica certifications. Now we're ready for Q&A. And we got several good questions that came in. Let's see. If you have questions, be sure and enter them in. We could, let's see, we have plenty of time to answer them, so let's dive in. So what kind of queries can be used in a custom alert? Joe?
Hey, Paige, I'll take care of that. So any type of query actually can be used in the custom alert, but just be careful that if you use say a drop table, we don't check for, we allow you to do it. So if you create the alert, you set up execute every 10 minutes, that the MC would then execute that query.
Every 10 minutes. Just like
or every 5 minutes, or whichever time interval you chose.
Okay.
So just be careful on the type of queries you add. No restrictions.
All right. So when you're building a custom alert, can you use multiple queries in a single alert?
Yeah, it's a good question. No, currently it's only a one query, and this gets checked during validation. So when you're in the form and you enter in the query and you put a semicolon and you add another query, when you go to run the query, we will execute it, but won't allow you to create the query as create the alert as there are two queries in there. So currently only one query.
Okay. Can you use custom alerts on production tables?
Yes. So as the custom alert is only it can only be used by the admin, MC admin, and that admin and the MC admin has access to your production database. It should have access to all your production tables. So the admin or the super admin, the MC super admin, can build any custom query against any production table, and they'll get once the alert is created, you can set the time interval. It'll get executed. Please note though that when if another user, MC user, that does not have admin privileges, they can hover over the already built custom alert and they'll be able to see the query.
Okay. I think actually we had one about what happens if you created a custom alert based on a table and then later the table was dropped. But I think you answered that during the presentation, how MC would handle that.
Yes. Yeah, and just to reiterate, so the MC does do validation checks once a custom query is created. And then the MC triggers if you set up the custom query to run every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes, etc. The MC will do validation checks on that query just to make sure that it's within the framework of the requirements that we had originally set up. So in this case, if the table doesn't exist anymore, the MC will automatically disable the query, thus not constantly running the polling interval to execute that query.
Sounds good. All right. We actually only have one more question, and we have plenty of time. So if you've got any questions, please post them. The last question that I have is, can any of the alert creation be done automatically via an API or a configuration file, as opposed to manually creating them in the UI?
Yeah, it's a good question. So currently we only have it manually. However, we could take this request and see what we can do in the future. That might be a great idea, being able to set up these via the command line, via an API, but currently no, just manually. Just to let everyone know, we'll be in the Dev Lounge. We can give a live demo of custom alerts during the Dev Lounge at 4:30, I believe, Paige. Is that correct?
Is that today?
And then,
You guys
yeah,
are going to be
today.
on today?
And then tomorrow morning's Dev Lounge time period. So we'll be able to give live demos if anyone's is interested.
Well, and if anybody thinks of a question that that didn't occur to them during the actual presentation, feel free to come to the Dev Lounge and ask folks. Vishal, did you have anything to add? I know Joe just kind of took all the questions. So, are you good?
Yes. Yes, I just wanted to add, I'm very excited about this custom alerts feature. I think it's very powerful. A lot of customers have asked me, can we do this? Can we use my own queries? So I'm really excited about how customers use it. And in case you find it very interesting or have used this feature to solve a problem, please reach out to me and let me know how you use this feature. So, we can extend this feature, show us some love. So yeah, I'd love to know your use case here.
Oh, look, we actually did get one more question. Is there any requirements or restrictions to the variables in the queries?
I'm not sure what they mean by requirements or restrictions. Currently, we do support strings and integers. I'm not sure if there's any specific requirement. Maybe whoever asked can ask, expand their question during the Dev Lounge. But currently, if it's a string or a character, it does need to be surrounded by a single quote. And what the MC code does internally it just substitutes whatever's in the squiggly, the curly brackets in the query itself and executes the query. Now the MC does execute the query using the JDBC call just as a frame of reference.
Yeah, so the variables are in the double curly brackets, right? And pretty much you can put anything there.
Yeah,
all right.
exactly.
Okay, well, I have no more questions. So what I want to say is thank you guys for participating. And don't forget to go to the Analyze to Win section on your navigation panel, choose this session, and then enter the code for this session, which is Cockapoo. And that will help you earn some points for prizes, and also will increase the donation to Jill Deshaies Out of the Cage. So just an FYI, we will have a replay of today's events and a PDF copy of the slides available shortly. And I want to thank you guys again, and stay tuned. There is a word right after this from our gold sponsor, Scality.
Control your entire platform, regardless of scale, easy with the new Artesca UI. Wouldn't you love to get a bird's eye view on overall health of your data and management tasks? Create access points for as many use cases and apps as you like to run. Manage all storage devices from core to cloud to edge to tape, and all of your data centers, nodes, and volumes. Artesca, a cloud-native, fully containerized solution on Kubernetes. From scaling data to the art of scale. Scality.